I'm in this chair, I'm not getting up.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1.
If I need to move, somebody come and push me.
No, really, it's hard to move. How do I look? Hello, everybody. Welcome to Empowering Pastors. That's right. I had to think about that for a moment. I'm very blessed today because I have a special guest with us. We're talking about the relationship between the senior pastor and the financial department. Bum, bum, bum. It's always a unique experience with the financial department. What I have found is there is a vast difference between the relationship between a pastor and the financial department if it's denominational or non-denominational. There is a large difference. The denominational financial department is different because it's usually a board member and there's more control in the aspect from a denominational church to a non-denominational church. Like non-denominational, you're able to etch the placement and position of the individual, what they do, what they don't do, their liberties. But in a denominational church, it's established by the denomination, and usually the treasurer, they usually call it treasurer, or financial department has more authority and more power. I remember once in my last church, which was denominational, I didn't make a lot of money, and I had to drive school bus to be able to afford to, well, I never really afforded, but to eat a lot of spaghetti and deer meat. I had to go make my food. So come summer, the school bus dried up. So I went to the treasurer and I said, I was wondering if the church would be able to pay my bills for the summer. And he said, give me all your bills and I'll pay them. Well, that meant no, without him getting into my business. And so I went and got a job throwing garbage for Cornell University. The financial department, he tried to take, and he did take control of the finances. And actually, that is one of the negative factors of a treasurer is sometimes they actually start taking possession of the church finances and start running the monies as it would be their own financial home. And that is one of the downturns and one of the challenges of having a treasurer. Now, in a non-denominational church, we set up different boundaries, and Carla has been working in the financial department, Pastor Carla. She's not just a pastor who ministers to people, but she also works as a bookkeeper and helps us with our finances. She's very, very brilliant. And by the way, if you have not had an opportunity and you're watching today and you would like her to come teach you and or work with your people on budgets and things in that manner, she's actually written a curriculum that will help and build your church and your people and also help your treasurer. So welcome with me, Pastor Carla Vischer. Carla, how long have you been with us?
I've been here at the church for almost 20 years.
Dear Lord!
I've been on staff for 15.
15 years. And Carla, how long have you worked within the financial department?
About 11 years.
11 years. And I just want to ask you a few basic questions. How challenging has it been to work within the church finances?
That's a very broad question.
Yes, it is.
I think that probably the biggest challenge for me, especially right at the beginning, was something that you already talked about, and that was you actually have to release control over the finances You manage them, but you don't control them. And so coming to an understanding that as the financial whatever I am, I have no personal responsibility.
Correct.
And that still can be a challenge today. I have to remind myself and be reminded that it's my knowing what my responsibility is as the bookkeeper to keep track, to make sure the accounts are balanced. But beyond that, I have no personal responsibility, and I have to remember to very actively put that back on you.
She was very willing to say that. Just got to say that out loud. I want to give Sandy and Eric, and I'm sure others are piling on. Heidi's on right now. I want to welcome you. Thank you for watching today. And if you would all just go to your Facebook page and share this, I think this would be a blessing and a help to other pastors, ministers, and churches. Now you worked in the secular department, the secular world, for how many years? You worked with a large car dealership.
So, and before that, I was with one of the biggest media companies locally. So I was in the corporate world really my whole life up until I came to work for the church.
What do you find is the difference financially, dealing with finances, between the secular world and the church world?
Well,
did you see her face?
There isn't one.
Well, just give an overview, what your thoughts are.
Probably the biggest thing that I needed to adjust to was the faith factor, where in corporate there's not a lot of faith. I mean, maybe somebody somewhere at the beginning of that corporation had faith, and they stepped out in faith to start that thing without knowing where it was going to go. But eventually, I think they all come to a point where they live based by the numbers.
Yes.
Like if the money, it's all on paper. If there's money there, okay. If there's not, pump the brakes, hold on. And there's just a lot of that management type of mentality where in the church, it's gung-ho, move forward, whether there's money or not. We're going to do this. And so that trust has to be not in what you see on paper, but your trust has to be in your leadership and the wisdom that they are receiving from the Lord.
Which is a great challenge.
It is.
Listen, her and I have worked together for so long. So I know when she's being kind and just like not going to answer the question. She's being very kind because it is very hard, especially if you're a money person and you're a numbers person. All of a sudden, the numbers look really bad, yet you still got to move forward. Because if you don't move forward, then there's only one thing left to do, and that is to go backwards. And if you go backwards, there's no faith in that. So it is genuinely a different mix. And being in both worlds, corporate world and church world, I'm sure it has been a strain on you at times.
At times.
See what she's doing? It's so bad. Tell us about the time that you walked in and told me we were very negative.
Oh, your favorite story to tell?
Yeah, my favorite story.
You want me to tell?
Yeah, because I told it wrong the last time.
Well, and this is probably one of the marked moments in my journey as a church financial person. It wasn't long after I came and started doing the finances, and we had a really low week in the offering. I mean, it was painfully low.
Painful.
And I reported that to Pastor Spencer, and he most joyfully responded, "Well, I need to go buy a computer today." And I really thought I was going to blow a gasket. But I also knew there was nothing, it was completely beyond my control. And sure enough, he did really go out and buy that computer. And it was, this was first thing in the morning, and I really was not okay for most of the day until a person walked in the door that afternoon with their tithe, and the tithe was exactly the amount of money that computer cost. And it was a real, 2x4 upside the head from the Lord. And he likes to take credit for it, but it wasn't him. It really was. The Lord did it. And he did it for me. I really believe he did it for me. And that was really part of my journey in learning that I needed to trust what seems like foolishness when it's really faith, because there really is a fine line.
There is genuinely a fine line. And I think that having to carry, I think our budget is I think it's 1.5 million for his tabernacle here in Horseheads. And, I remember when we first started out, and I had to believe God for $300 a week. That was the budget, $300 a week. I remember going and traveling to be able to pay most of that, because when you start off, you're at the Holiday Inn in Horseheads with 5 people to begin, and then you start growing a little bit, but tithes we had farmers. So they didn't have a lot of money. And I just had to believe. And then I remember when I had to believe the Lord for $700 a week, and then $1,000 a week, and then $3,000 a week, and then I think it was $4,300 a week. Then it was $6,500 a week. And then we went to build this building, and I think we were bringing in $7,800 a week. And to build this building and to have the mortgage on this building and everything, I believe that we had $200 left over a month. It was, I've always said this, and Carla hates this, but if we're going down in a ball of fire. I've always had that mentality that you got to have enough faith in God that you're going to be in pain if it doesn't happen. And so we've always believed and moved in that way. And that is hard. And even today, the projections that were out in the year 2023 of January was that the average church was going to diminish about $15 to $30 per giving unit because of the economy. And our church has felt it. Our campuses have felt it. And I know other churches, even large churches. One large church recently let, I believe, up to 50 people go from their staff because, $15 a unit doesn't sound like a lot until you have 250 units. And that ends up being $150,000 less a year in giving, that alone. Never mind if you have a larger church. So faith is not a small factor in church finances. It is a massive factor, because the moment you start moving in fear in finances, you now are never going to see results, because you'll never be able to step out and acquire or do what's necessary, because you're always reactionary. I've also found this, and I believe Sam Chan is the one who said this, that if you adjust your budget according to your finances, you will never grow. You should never act according to your finances. You should act according to your faith. And if your bank account can afford all that you want to do for God, then your faith is not large enough. So, there's that whole faith side of giving and the whole faith side of finances, which you genuinely feel, especially when it comes Monday to start writing checks and paying the bills. But there's also a very practical side of finances, and that's what we want to talk about a little bit too. Because, we're a 501c3, which means we have regulatory issues with the IRS. And you have to follow and be compliant to the government. And in that, can you walk us through the process of, let's say, Sunday morning? They receive the offering. What do we do?
Well, the other thing, I just want to piggyback on what
Absolutely.
you just said, too, is that we are under IRS regulation, but we do also follow the generally accepted accounting principles,
yes,
which is important. And we have an accountant on retainer who we consult with on certain decision making, and we also he does our year-end financials, our compilation, and our review every year. So that's just really important to have that third-party accountability.
Very important. And we ran into that situation where accusations were railed that I was embezzling. And so we had our outside accountant come in, and he did a compilation that year, but after the accusations and proving that they were false, turned around and did a full audit that next year for more validation.
Absolutely. So to answer your question, we have a lot of protocols in place about handling money, and we follow them to the letter, to the best of our ability at all times, with the utmost of character and integrity. And I think that that's the other thing that's the difference between church finances and corporate, is that we hold ourselves to a biblical standard.
Right.
And so, and there are corporations out there that also do, but not on the mainstream.
Right.
So, but Sunday morning we collect the offering, and then it goes into a safe, locked safe in a secure, locked room here on the property. And then on Monday morning, we have 3 people. Well, there are 3 people who escort the offering upstairs. There are 3 people always and they all are unrelated, who process the offerings on Monday mornings, who run the credit cards and count the cash and the checks. And it's all verified by 3 different unrelated people, triple counted. And then it's also quadruple counted, because the bank teller, when we take the deposit to the bank, also counts it. And so within the same day, all of those funds do get transported to our local bank and deposited the very same on Mondays. And then if there's a Monday holiday, we do it on Tuesdays. But so that's how we maintain a level of integrity, that there's always 3 sets of eyes on every deposit.
That's very important, and that is according to IRS law. You have to have 3 unrelated people counting the finances. I know a lot of pastors do 2. Some pastors are part of that. Pastor, if you are part of the counting team, you should not be touching the money, period. You set yourself up for accusation. You're setting yourself up for someone making statements that you're a thief. And I haven't touched the church money, and you've been here a long time. When was the last time I counted money? Or can we even think?
That was before me.
Yeah.
You've never touched any money since. We don't even let you open the mail.
I don't even open the mail.
Not even his own mail.
Seriously. And then, when was the last time I physically signed a check?
Probably sometime when I wasn't available, which was not very often, probably 10 years ago. I have a stamp with your signature. We have 3 authorized signers on the bank account. That should always be, in case there's something happens. The day after plan is very, very important.
Very important.
In finances, you must have one, and accountability. So, but not more than that.
Right.
Not more than you have to keep control of that as well.
And when every check has to be double signed.
Every check is double signed. There are also only 2 people in our whole congregation that know the code to open the safe.
We have had a thief before.
We have. We used to allow the security team access to the safe.
Yes.
Before we had a drop safe, and there were probably 7 or 8 people that had the code to the safe, and then we had money stolen from the safe. So
we figure in the vicinity of near $100,000
potentially
over time.
Yeah, between taking money out of the offering basket on the way to the safe, and then money that was taken out of the safe. From within the congregation, people that did that.
We actually caught them on video. But there was not enough proof to prosecute. So it's very interesting on how you really have to protect the church finances. And also another factor is, pastors, you should have a security team one of the number one places to rob is a church. It's very easy to rob a church on a Sunday morning, and churches are robbed. And you just need to be wise, be protective. You know, it's God's finances that are coming in, and you need to handle them well. Now, credit cards are very different. Most churches now are going to credit cards, or what's the other one? What's Cash App? They're doing, what are some other avenues? They're doing text to give. They're doing, sign up for reoccurring giving, which is always the best to get your people to be reoccurring givers. That way, if they're on vacation, they're still giving without thinking, because some people just don't pay their tithe if they're on vacation. Right. So what happens? How do the credit card processes work?
Well, we talked about it when Brittany was up here, our administrator. We use Planning Center as our giving platform. There are so many giving platforms. There are so many to choose from. But we use Planning Center for everything else, and just have found that it has, for the amount of merchant service fees that they charge, are comparable to everybody else, and the integration of it is just so much ease of use for us because we use Planning Center for everything. So, and Planning Center handles all of your API certification things that are really kind of hard to deal with if you try to do that yourself. A lot of these giving companies, they don't do that. They don't do the API renewals. And it's for a person who is not a tech, I mean, I can do the books, but I have no idea about all this cyber stuff. And so they're very, very easy to let your giving company handle that. So Planning Center does it all. We do text to give through Planning Center. We have an app where people can give through Planning Center, and they can set up their recurring giving. People can even download their own giving statements.
Yes.
It's very user friendly. And so all of the credit card stuff goes through them, and then they generate deposits into our account, and we can just download deposit reports and enter them into our accounting software. So it's very hands off for us. We have very few people anymore that actually write their credit card number on an envelope. We discourage our givers from doing that. It's easier to just use the app. But if there are people that are still doing that, then we, as part of our Monday morning processing, we process those cards manually through Planning Center.
Now, we also had another experience that was startling, and that was, it's called cyber robbery. I don't know if you know, Pastor, but you should have cyber insurance. Cyber insurance is very real. Now, want to explain what happened to us?
Oh, my goodness. This was not on the list.
No, this was not on the list. I gave her questions.
He did. This one wasn't on the list. We did experience cyber fraud.
We did.
And the church was already in a deeply traumatic moment in the life of the church. And 12 days after a major tragedy, we had another one. And someone hacked my email, my church email, and managed to send fraudulent messages to our bank and extract $210,000 from our operating checking account via ACH. And the Lord was on our side.
Jesus.
The Lord was on our side.
It really was a miracle.
It was an absolute miracle. The receiving bank is the one that red flagged it.
Not our bank.
Not our own bank, but the receiving bank red flagged it. That's the first miracle.
Jesus.
And then we got word of it late on a Friday, so there was nothing to be done.
Nothing to be done.
Till Monday, which was harrying. That was a very harrying weekend for this person.
The reason, too, is because once it's done ACH like that, you don't ever get your money back.
Right.
It's gone. If it's gone, it's gone. So it was a very serious scenario where it literally drained our church bank account.
Right. Yes, it did. One of them.
One of them.
Thank God for others don't put all your eggs in the same basket.
Did you hear that? That's wisdom, Pastor.
Multiple bank accounts are smart. And multiple banks.
Multiple banks.
So anyway, a miracle did happen.
Yes.
And the money came back. And even the branch manager at our local bank made a comment when I went to meet with him, because we had to shut down every single one of our bank accounts and reopen all new bank accounts, which was an accounting
nightmare
challenge. You said it.
Nightmare.
It was. But he even commented, and I said, this is an absolute miracle. He said, you're right. It is, because when ACH money goes out, you don't get it back.
You don't get it back.
And so they restored all but $1,200 back into our account. And then our home bank gave us the $1,200.
Wow.
So we literally got back every penny, and it was an absolute miracle. But that was one of the moments in any financial person's life where if you don't have God, boy, you are in big trouble.
Big trouble.
There was a moment that I was pacing around my kitchen the week after that, during that week after that happened, because I had no idea how to fix it. I really, literally had no idea how to fix it. And I was pacing in my kitchen and praying and literally saying, Lord, I can't do this. I cannot do this. And the Lord rebuked me, and he said, did you not think that I knew that you were going to be the one? Do you think I didn't see this coming? Did you think that someone else was supposed to be in that position that you're in right now? No, it's you, and we are going to fix it together. And it was literally a word right from God. And he started just downloading wisdom and ideas and ways for me to fix, to get all the books reset. The whole software had to be reset. And so God is good.
He is good.
He is so good.
Pastors, you need cyber insurance. So some of you might not have ever heard of it, but you need to go out. You need to get a hold of your insurance company today and purchase cyber insurance. They said that whoever did it was either in our sanctuary doing it or possibly in the parking lot. So, it's somebody that was close by, but that could have literally bankrupted church. And so you need to be wise and have cyber insurance. Now, we don't just pay bills here. If somebody doesn't have a requisition, take us through the process of somebody's spending.
Oh, well, so we have financial protocols in place, and we have a phenomenal purchase request software that, it's called Xpeni, EXPENI. Pastor Spencer does not know what that is or what it means because he doesn't use it. But
I don't think I've ever signed into, what's that other thing called that you guys
Planning
use?
Center.
I don't think I've ever signed into Planning Center.
No, which is okay. That's why he has an assistant and a financial person. He shouldn't have to do that.
No.
And so he should be able to just pop his head and tell me what he wants done, and I make it happen. And so when I hear the door open to my office, I just get my pen out and write down what he wants me to do.
She always wants an email confirmation.
Well, yes, most often, especially because I'm basically a bookkeeper. So I always make sure I'm covered personally.
Amen. It's smart.
I'm covered.
It's smart.
It's on you.
So take us through someone's going to buy something with a credit card.
So some of our department, we do have credit cards, and another great software that we found. We've been through a lot of the worst of things, and right now we're set up pretty good. So we use right now, the credit card system is called Bill, Spend, and Expense. It used to be called Divvy.
Okay, used to be called.
But it's a fantastic system for budget tracking and for your department heads for your credit card use. Some of our department heads have what we would call discretion, spending discretion.
I don't know.
Well, up to a certain amount of money every week. They know, and then anything beyond upward of say $100, then they need to put in a requisition through Xpenny, which is a great system, and you can email us at the church if you want the link to that, because I want the referral bonus. I know.
Her email is Carla, CARLA, at histabernacle.com.
But it's not a mainstream thing, but it works great.
It does work great.
And so they have to put in a requisition, and then on Mondays, I review all the requisitions for expenditures, whether they want to have it, and then I look, and we do allocate money into each department's account every week, if the budget allows for that. And so each department has a fund set up in our accounting software. So a request comes in, I look at the fund to see if there's enough money for them to spend the money, and I either approve or deny the request based on whether they have the money in the account. If it's something that's coming up like a big event, we just had a great big outreach. Sometimes we run out of money before the event comes up, and so a request will come in that'll be, there's not enough money in there. And when that happens, then I defer to our executive pastor for him to make the decision on, yes, we need to move forward on this. We'll pull the money from somewhere else to cover it. So that's basically the decision-making process when somebody wants to spend money. Yeah,
people are not allowed just to go spend money, and then if they're going to use the card, I want to remind you, what protects you is your requisitions. What protects you, if they use a credit card, you must, and no credit card, you must have receipts. So what I love about this credit card is you take a photograph of the receipt, and that is acceptable by the IRS. So you have you take a photograph of the receipt and then what it was for, so that way the financial department can take it from whatever account it's necessary. But that makes sure that you are protected. If you do not have a receipt, you are foolish. And it is important that you protect yourself and protect the church by purchasing and doing things correctly. So requisitions, if you use the credit card and or no credit card, you must have the receipt, and it must all be classified and kept. How long do you keep receipts if it's a paper receipt?
I believe the IRS requires us to keep them for 7 years. So we do have all of our financial records in a locked closet of everything. And probably back longer than 7 years.
It is back longer than 7 years.
The closet just got too small. So we eventually had to incinerate some of the things that were in there. But I will say, I can't express that enough, is documentation of every dime spent.
Every dime.
Because that is why when that accusation came of misappropriation of funds, that we could hold our head high and we had no worries, because every dollar that has spent in this church from the day the doors opened.
Yes.
I wasn't here when they opened, but I saw the documentation that every dollar has been documented. That's integrity.
That's integrity.
That is, it keeps you from ever having to worry about those kind of accusations. They hurt.
They hurt.
And they cause some extra legwork to be done, but you never have to second guess yourself.
No, and remember that the enemy, he's going to attack you in certain manners, Pastor. Number one is financially. If you can be accused of financial misappropriation and it is validatable that you did not handle God's money well, number one, there's judgment from the Lord. But number two, people are going to stop giving to you. And once they stop giving, well, where there is no money, there is no church. So you've got to make sure that you do things properly. Now, there's so much more to this. This is literally just a very thin paintbrush. And if you are desiring to learn more, to know more, to do things well, to do things biblical, we actually have Pastor George who will come to your church, or Pastor Carla will come to your church, help set up your finances so that you are in order, so that if accusations come, you'll come out beautiful. So if you are interested to have that occur, you can send us an email at Carla, CARLA, at histabernacle.com, or My email, which is more privatized, would be pastorspencer@me.com. We just want you to be and understand that the relationship between the pastor and the financial department is key. And the key is that vision can only occur where there is money. And so you need to have faith for finances. So not only do I need to have faith, Carla needs to have faith. The executive pastor has to have faith. All the decision makers and our trustees in New York State have to have faith. If you don't have faith, you're not moving forward. But at the same time, you can't be foolish. So I want to say thank you so much for being with us today. As empowering pastors, our passion is helping propel the vision that God has placed in your heart, that vision, that birth vision. And so our desire is to be there to help you. And if you would like us to come and help, we would love to be able to be there for you. And you can go to our website, empoweringpastors.com or michaelspencerministries.com, and reach out. We will come and we'll consult with you, we'll help you, we'll do leadership training for you and or your team. We love to build God's kingdom. So thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.
Thank you for tuning in to Empowering Pastors and Leaders with Dr. Micheal Spencer. If you're looking for helpful, life-changing, and empowering resources, Dr. Micheal Spencer's books are available here. Just click on the link below and get your copies today. Don't wait. These resources will bring about the change and success you've been looking for. If you'd like to know more about empowering pastors and leaders, please visit michaelspencerministries.com. Also, if you'd like to become a partner with Empowering Pastors and Leaders, sign up online for the opportunity to do so. Thank you in advance for your financial support to help us reach into the U.S., Canada, Mexico, and Africa, and the different parts of the world. Empowering Pastors and Leaders will equip you to transform your personal life, ministry, or business to become the best leader God designed for you to be. Invest in yourself today and be the most effective leader you've ever been.